What's good, everybody? Is when I come back at you on a video. So with this video here, I wanted to talk to the people who are interested in leveling up, who are interested in growing, who are interested in expanding their mind and becoming the best version of themselves, right? And I have a piece of advice here to share with you. And it goes like this. Focus on educating yourself if you wish to continue leveling up. Now, the reason for this is because the norm for the average person, right? Rather than the average person spending their time and energy educating themselves, they would much rather spend their time and money entertaining themselves, right? Many of us know that one friend, or perhaps many friends, that have seen all the shows on Netflix, right? That knows all the new shows that are coming out. When the new seasons are releasing, right? That one friend that knows about everyone's stats, right? The sports head that knows every player of every roster of every team of every major sports league, right? They know everything about stats. They know, right? And I came across it was a couple months back. I came across a saying on the internet from like an entrepreneur. He basically says, people know more about LeBron's stats than their own stats, which is true, right? It's like people spend so much time and energy focused on entertaining themselves because oftentimes that entertainment is what takes their attention away from their own reality and takes their attention away from essentially their own life, and it takes attention away from themselves, right? Because they may not be proud of who they are or happy about the position that they're in life or any of these components, right? And so they need all this entertainment to take their attention away from everything that's going on in their life and to take their attention away from themselves. And that's crazy to think about, right? The wealthy people, rich people, right, constantly are investing in themselves. And the reason why they got to the level of being rich and wealthy is because internally they've accepted that they're rich and wealthy, right? That they feel that way about themselves internally because they are full of that, and they feel as though they have a lot to offer to other people in the world, right? You can get to that level if you focus on educating yourself as well, right? And so you might be thinking, well, how do I educate myself, right? Of course, you can educate yourself through the traditional classroom school setting. But if you've gotten your degrees or you no longer want to return to school, you can do so in the form of books, in the form of audios, in the form of courses, in the form of seminars, in the form of finding a mentor, whatever the case may be, right? Those are ways that you can expose yourself to new ideas and to hear different opinions and perspectives from other people. Because how do you expect your life to change if you continue doing the same thing over and over and over, right? Or if you don't ever come across new ideas, right? Because you may come across an idea that may provide you with a better way of operating, a better way of thinking. But if you never even come across that idea to begin with, then you're going to remain the same. You're going to be in the same spot because you only know what you know. You only think of what you know, right? If you never come across any other perspective or any other idea, how do you expect to think differently about things, right? And oftentimes, the average person may not spend as much time reflecting on their position or reflecting on their life or where it is that they want to head to, right? When you educate yourself, that is when you're able to bring out the best version of yourself, because you're then able to see yourself differently from a different perspective, and then you can begin to see the world around you from different perspective, right? You'll come across other ideas that may challenge the traditional way of thinking or the way that you've been thinking historically or in your entire life, right? It can challenge your beliefs, and oftentimes they can present an idea that will make the beliefs that you used to believe in or that you currently believe in fall flat on its face, right? There's a belief that, the average person thinks that the world is scarcity, right? That there's a finite number of resources, right? That there's just not enough for everyone. But I'm here to tell you that, you can go across from your birth to where it is that you are now. For every person that you've ever encountered, that you know that you've had some sort of relationship with, even on an acquaintance level to a friend level, it's like, family, etc. Any person who's ever stood out to you in your life as being an acquaintance or a friend, whatever it is, you could hand $1 billion with a B, right? $1 billion to each one of these people, and there will still be more than enough money in the world to go around for everybody. But yet people have this scarcity mindset that in order for me to win, I need to knock somebody off, whatever position they're in, and take their spot so then I can, win. In order for me to win, someone else has to lose. That's not how it works, right? But that it's like is the crabs in the barrel mentality, right? Where it's like crabs are trying to climb out of the barrel and then another crab at the bottom pulls them right back down, right? It's the same idea that is a false belief that there's only a finite amount of resources, that abundance does not exist, right? But there is an infinite abundance that exists that's around us, right? And I would have never come across that idea if I hadn't been reading, if I hadn't been learning and having my prior beliefs and ideas challenged by these new ideas, right? If you want to bring out the best version of yourself, you need to continue educating yourself, right? Because the average person, the person who just does what they're told and lives their life by default, right? Whatever it is that people tell them they should and shouldn't do is what they go by. That average person there, the average person, whatever income they're bringing in after, they pay their expenses, whatever it is, they're just looking to educate themselves. It's like, why have you seen every single show in existence, and why do you know everything about all this information about things that probably are not beneficial to your life, but you're not putting time and energy into bringing out the best version of yourself, right? You say you want your life to improve, but you're not taking the necessary steps to change that. You're not trying to uncover information that can change your life. You can only do that by investing in yourself. That is why it is important for you to constantly learn. Because what you need to understand is the same way you eat food each and every day that your body needs to get fed to survive is the same way that your mind is, right? Your mind wants to learn. Your mind wants to be fed information. Now, it doesn't have to be new information. You can feed your mind the same information in the form of, like, let's just say you have a good self-development book. You can read that same book over and over until the teachings eventually become part of your identity, right? So you don't have to feed your mind new information, but your mind wants to be fed. Same with your body. And you can choose what to feed your mind, right? If you're feeding your mind positivity and you're feeding your mind, new information, the right information, that can help you think differently. And if you're thinking differently, chances are you're going to do things differently to try to change yourself and to change the position that you're in. But if you're not investing in yourself, if you're not educating yourself, how do you expect anything to ever change, right? That there's a saying, right? The best investment you can make isn't in a business. It isn't in the stock market. It isn't in any of that. The best investment you can make is in yourself, because when you make the investment in yourself, that's when you improve. That's when you become better. And then once you're that better version of the person of yourself, then that's when you can then invest in other, right? You might be in a much better position where you can finally have the finances or the knowledge to be able to invest in these other areas to then reap the rewards, right? So there was a saying in one of the books that I read that said, poor people entertain themselves while rich people educate themselves. And that is quite frankly the truth, because people who are struggling often need some entertainment, some level of distraction to distract themselves from their situation or distract them from themselves. While when you spend time educating yourself, you will then learn more about yourself. You'll learn more about the world around you, and you'll uncover the truth that you are a creator, that you are capable, that you have power within you, that you're not a victim of the events or circumstances of your life, that you are in fact in control of your life, and you are in control of creating the life that you always wanted and the life that you always dreamed of. But you can't get to that point, or it's hard for you to get to that point, if you're not educating yourself or investing in yourself. I'm only at this point because I've invested in myself and I've educated myself, and I continue to do so because I understand that I'm always learning and I'm always growing. That is how you level up, right? When you invest in yourself, you educate yourself, you begin to develop a confidence, and eventually it will grow into a supreme confidence because you know that you are worthy. You know that you are deserving. You know that it is inevitable for you to win because you can offer a lot to other people or to the world. You can actually provide value to the world, that you can stand for something, that you can be someone of high character, high value, high principle, right? And having integrity, right? You can do all these things when you educate yourself. So once again, I'm just going to highlight the title of this video and the main idea. Focus on educating yourself if you wish to continue leveling up. If you want to bring out the best version of yourself, you need to continue educating yourself. You need to find a new book to read, right? Because the books will present you with new perspectives, new ideas that can challenge your previous ways of thinking. And it can present to you a much better idea that can completely eliminate the previous way of thinking. That you can realize that your previous way of thinking was actually wrong and obsolete the whole time, and it was just holding you back from succeeding and from winning, right? So be open-minded. And oftentimes people, the average person oftentimes is closed-minded. They're not willing to budge, they're not willing to adapt, they're not willing to change, so they're going to stay the same person. That's not helpful or beneficial to you. If I come across a brand new idea that makes a heck of a lot of sense, that allows me to be better as a person and to allow me to operate and do things better, I'm gonna adopt it, because why not, right? Why not? If it's going to improve the quality of your life and there's no drawbacks, might as well just adopt that idea and that belief, right? And just live a life that's happier and more fulfilling, because that's why we're here, to have fun, to enjoy life, right? And you owe it to yourself to bring out the best version of you, right? You deserve it. And the world also deserves to see that too. You owe it to yourself, right? There's no reason to continue if you begin educating yourself, right? And you realize that you've been in control this whole time, that you have power this whole time, you're no longer going to feel bad for yourself. You're not going to be feeling anxious or worried, because you understand that things are going to be handled on its own accord, but that you will feel empowered, that you can actually take action to change your situation. And that right there is amazing. That's powerful, right? You will, as you continue educating yourself and investing in yourself, you will begin to see a change in yourself for the better. And that is going to be great. You are going to be proud of yourself. You are going to be working towards building the best version of yourself. You're no longer going to continue being brainwashed, right? You're going to be doing things on your own accord, and things are going to be working itself out for you, and things are going to be lining itself up for you. And you will be so proud of the transformation that you'll make when you invest and educate yourself. So that wraps up the video. If you enjoy the video, do leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 100 subscribers, guys. So I'm telling you, we're going to crush that milestone. So I would want you there on that journey with me. So once again, guys, this is Joel, and I'm out. See you guys for the next video.